Hey guys, welcome to the studio. So today we're doing something a little different. Today we're gonna do supplies. I'm gonna tell you about the supplies that I use in my studio and kind of give you just like a rundown of where I store them, how I use them, where you can find them, just kind of my ideas about supplies in general. And so I'm gonna see how we can make this work so I can show you and not be moving the camera all around, but just stay the course, follow me, it'll be fun. Okay, so we're gonna start first with pan pastels. And I guess before I go to pan pastels, I should tell you a little bit about this fabulous table that is right here in my studio that my dad got built for me. He had a friend who created this for me. There are drawers all on this side, on the other side, and then open shelving here. And clearly this top surface that I keep full to the brim at all times. But I just want to tell you that in storing your supplies, what I find is like having them in a place that is most easily accessible. So I constantly work at this station here, and I have it to where everything's on wheels. So I can move my tables, I can grab from this drawer, I can be working here, move back and forth. So it's nice to have everything easily accessible to you when you're creating. So the first product that we're gonna talk about are my pan pastels. And here in this top drawer, I house all of my pastels. So here in the drawer are my pastels that I use more regularly. I use makeup pads to put them on. And then here is the rest of my collection of pastels that are color coordinated. And I keep those under and use the colors as I need them. So I do have a lot of pastels. Here is what I'm saying, pan pastel. You can see the label on the back. So you're wondering, why does one person need so many pastels? So it's not necessarily that you need so many pastels, but when they're accessible, you get them. So when I travel and do shows, I often will look on Marketplace and see if there are art supplies on Marketplace, because if you're a creative, you know that we tend to get involved in something and then we get over it and we want to get rid of those supplies after a while. So I collect what people get rid of. So I was in Austin, I was doing a show in Round Top, and I found these pan pastels, somebody selling them on Marketplace for a quarter of the price as if I were to buy that entire box. So snatched them up. So that's why I have so many. And then when I lead my retreats, it's great because we have access to all the different colors. So just be on the lookout when you're looking for supplies. Don't always think that you have to just go to the store, buy them or whatever. Be creative. I mean, there are often people getting rid of supplies, and supplies last for a long time. Paint's the only thing that you really should be mindful about because it can go bad a lot faster, but pastels are not going bad, right? Pencils, well, I still have charcoal from when I was in college, which was a long time ago. So just remember, like, there are other creative ways to find things around there too. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna show you is my pencil collection. My charcoal pencils. These are, I'm gonna spill probably, but these are called CarbOthello. I don't think that's the name of them. I'm gonna video them for you in a second though. And they're by the brand STABILO. And I love them. STABILO carries another, these also, and they almost are like kids. They're called Woodies. But these go on like butter. These are fabulous. And so they're a woody STABILO. And these are more gel consistency. They're more fluid when you work with them. I love these. I use these in a lot of my pieces. I do mark making with them. They're great to go over any painting. Like they really, because they're like more of a gel consistency, they will go over a hard or dried surface, a matte surface, and they'll go over. Whereas sometimes if you're using more of a charcoal pencil, it doesn't go on as well, you know? So those are really great, but any of the STABILO brand, I'm gonna cut to them and show you the collection that I have in the different colors. Okay, so as you saw in that space with all of the charcoal pencils, they are they are more of a chalky texture, right? So when you draw with them, they leave a chalky texture, which is really cool. But in there, I've subdivided them. I have a couple of packs of them because that's also who I am. And so I subdivided them by color because I like the way things look when they're color coded. And you'll sometimes find that inspires me sometimes because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna only work out of the blue container or the pink container. Anyway, I like to work in like sometimes in monochromatic color schemes. Or at least start that way, and then you can build upon it. So I like to subdivide my supplies out by color sometimes as well. But you saw in there are these other pencils that were in there that just look like a whole block of lead. They don't have any wood around them. These are watercolor pencils. They're water soluble. That means when you put water with them, they bleed out. They don't hold firm in their texture. And so these are really great. You can draw with them and then you can go back with your paintbrush and pull some watercolor out. I think what I'm gonna do in this video is tell you that I'll also make breakout videos to where I will show you how each of these supplies function. I'll do like a little tutorial of each of them. There'll be little short videos that you can see. So I mix these in too because I do like the mark making on these. And I like the fact that when I add water to them, they bleed out and they give you a whole nother texture basically, right? So these are also watercolor pencils that do the same. And this is by Distress brand, right? It's the same brand that does a lot of the inks that I use. And these are really great as well. And same, they don't have any wood on them. They're just an entire pencil with the pigment. And these are great too. So water soluble as well. So water soluble just means that they break down in water. They don't hold firm when you add water to them. Whereas the charcoal pencils are not, they still break down some, but they're not quite as water soluble as these. These are created for water. What I think is really cool about these two is you can dip them in water and drag them, and they work really cool that way too. So the next thing I'm going to show you in my studio is some of my little containers of pastels. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the ones I have here in the bowls. You can see I color coordinate except for these. So these are oil pastels. They're oily consistency. You can see how they go on kind of like butter as well. These are all chalk pastels. So again, that one's got paint on it because I tried to paint right over it. What I will say to you is there are different kinds of pastels. So this brand here differs. Let's say that's the same brand. Let's see. Well, okay, let's just look at these. I have the cool colors over here. But this is a hard pastel. So when you write with it, it's a little harder and crunchier. This is super soft. So sometimes they crush up. I also have ones that like they break apart. You have to be so careful with them. And then do you see in this bowl how I just keep the crumbs down there? Because maybe I want to use the crumbs later. So that's kind of the beautiful thing about color coding the bowls too, is like if they break up, you can still use them. And I'm going to show you, these are some, clearly it shows you how hard I am on my supplies, but this one's broken up. I was using it and it just kind of shattered because I was too rough. But I keep it because I can either use these little pieces like this to write on my places, or I can crush this up and use it as the pigment with my white paint as well. So don't sleep on keeping all your little broken pieces because you need them. So I'll show you this brand here. I do get a lot of these pastels. I like to go in, obviously you can order these online and stuff, but I like to go into a local store sometime to get these. One, because they're so delicate and fragile, and also because, this is another brand, Rembrandt. Also because I really like to see the pigments in person. You know, I wanna, this is like my little treat for myself. I go in and I'll buy like 4 and I get to pick. And then it's funny because I come home and then I tend to work all in that color palette when it's my new ones because I want to use my new colors. And then I have all of my pinks. So there's a few different brands of these pastels. The Rembrandt and this Sennelier. I don't know how to say any of the names, but honestly, these are great. These are so deeply pigmented. I think pastel is one of your strongest pigments, so you can use it in different ways. You know, this is just like a really cheap brand that you can get like, honestly, anywhere. Like sometimes I buy stuff at Home Goods in their art department section there. You know, they have like random stuff. Or Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Walmart, anywhere. You know, even these kinds of pastels, depending on what you're doing, can benefit you in a lot of ways. If you just want really cool marks, and or like me leading my retreats and stuff where we're all going to just be playing and experimenting, these are the things you experiment. Don't experiment with a pastel that costs $4 a stick, you know. Experiment with your less expensive stuff, and why not? You know, you can get similar you can get a similar outcome from any of them. So these are more of a hard, these are softer, and then these are an oil pastel. So I just kind of put these all in here. This is a whole nother technique of using oil pastels. I think they take a lot longer to dry. You can mix them in with your cold wax medium. You can also honestly mix them in with a lot of other mediums as well. And I do a lot of mixings. But like I said, when I break out and do pastels, I'll show you all the ways that I mix them. Okay, so pastels and sticks. Are y'all sitting there thinking, how dare she be in her studio in a white shirt? I also am thinking that. I got dressed today because I was like, I'm gonna go out run errands, but then I wanna do this video. I brushed my hair today, so here we are. But never, never walk into your studio in a white shirt unless you want tragedy to happen. So I'm being very delicate and careful. We'll see how long that lasts. Let me wipe my hands after playing with all the pastels. But the next thing I'm gonna show you, I'm probably gonna do a two-part video of this because I feel like there's a lot of supplies. But I wanna show you like all of the supplies that are more pastel-based or pencil-based or just kind of along the same lines. So we talked a little bit about oil pastels. So I'm gonna show you this other thing. It's called gelato. I think maybe I'm probably not saying that right. Gelatos, like ice cream, but not really. But anyway, it goes on like ice cream. It feels that way. So these are Faber-Castell. Again, I probably literally butcher. I'll never get sponsored because they'll be like, you don't ever say them right. But anyway, maybe one day. So, okay, these supplies. I have all of these. You open these up. They also go on kind of like a buttery feel. They are, let's read them. They're a gel pastel, basically, almost like an oil pastel, not as oily, a little more gel consistency. I really love these too. I love the mark making of these. I love the way they go on and they hold their shape. These are not water soluble, so you can water over them and they kind of stay firm. The line doesn't disappear. These feel great over when I work on cold wax or when I do encaustics. I love the way they go over that. Even acrylic, they really leave a great mark. But I want to show you a couple things. So there are these, and then there is another brand. So I'll wheel back into my studio. Not easily accessible. This is my drawer of randoms. It's the drawer of like all the other things. So I'm going to find that other gel sticks. But anyway, all that is to be said, there's a cheaper brand of these that I bought at Home Goods. And it was like, I keep promoting them too, but, or like TJ Maxx or somewhere like that. It's like this King's Art brand or whatever. And it's basically kind of more meant for kids, I think. I don't know. I mean, it feels that way. It was super cheap. I felt like it was hard to pass it up. They're amazing, but they're similar to this and they go on like butter. So, let me go run and grab them. One second. I had to go on a little adventure to find those, but I found them. Okay, so here are my King Art brand, and I actually really like this King Art brand. Again, they're fairly inexpensive, and I think a lot of times they're set up like you kind of feel like it's like for kids art or whatever, but y'all, use all the supplies, use all the things. Like, don't get so caught up in having to use only the most expensive of the expensive. I have the expensive and the other, and I use both. I'm not saying don't use, but I'm just saying like intermingle, right? Like generic in your name brand, like use both of them. And maybe I shouldn't call them generic, but they're just not as quite as expensive. This is the most fun tool you will use. When I lead retreats, people lean to these because they're so fun to use. Literally like butter. It's like lipstick is what it feels like. Actually, it's the exact consistency of lipstick. And they just spin up and you can draw with them and they feel wonderful. So again, if you're exploring and playing with supplies, use anything, play with it, enjoy it, learn it, and then keep moving on. And I think that you'll have more success that way. Because I can tell you all day how to use these supplies, and so can everybody else. But the beauty of it is you learning to use it. You know, it's not about using supplies the right way. It's about you finding a way to use the supplies that are right for you. And that's what makes unique art or unique things, is us all finding a creative way to explore and use these supplies that are at our hands. So I'm gonna show you another thing that I have. These are, I think I can turn the camera down just to show you my bucket of these. So this is my bucket of junior artist crayons. And I was a high school art teacher, and I taught in another creative program for years. And this was, these are been around forever since then. I had a huge box of class pack, and we use these in so many ways. To use watercolor resist, you would draw with the crayon and you could resist with watercolor around it. So this is just basically an oil pastel. And again, just not a fancy brand. It's just like the class pack. It's a teacher's pack. You know, it's what you would instruct with so that you're not using such an expensive thing. But y'all, these are amazing. They go on great. They work great. I use them with my groups and stuff. They're wonderful, and they come in all the different colors. And something about maybe, okay, when you buy a pastel that costs $4 for one, okay? If you're like me, you are so nervous about using it. And then when it breaks apart, like I showed you, you're just all like, oh gosh, I'm wasting and whatever. But, you know, when you buy things that are cheap like this, or when you get it from a swap shop or things like that, there are artist swap shops that you can shop from and stuff, then you're not as crazy about using them and trying different things with them, and it doesn't matter. So what I would say to you is, if you're having trouble exploring and you are like having like painter's block because you don't want to use your supplies, or people are like, I spent so much on that, I don't want to mess it up, then just buy the cheaper stuff and mess it up and then move up that way. You know, I think a lot of people are hesitant to work because they don't want to mess up their supplies, and that's just silly. That's the point of them, right? So buy the cheaper things and then move into them that way. So, and I think I'll make a part 2 to this video to show you like the next level of things that I use. And then if you really like the things you've seen here, what I'm gonna do next is start breaking down. I'm gonna do breakout videos to really in depth show you how I use the supplies. That doesn't mean it's the only way or that there's not plenty of ways to use them, but I'll just break down and do little tutorials on each of those supplies. So if you will comment in the comment section what you want to see first, maybe we'll go from there, and I'll start with one of the things you've seen so far, and then I'll do another video on maybe the more liquid supplies that are in my studio and tell you about those and how I use them as well. So I'm excited about it. But guys, I also want to tell you a little bit about things that are going on in my creative world and ways that we can engage with each other in a different way. In September, I have creative retreats here in Lafayette, Louisiana. It's actually in Dusson. I live in the country, at my studio here. It's a 2-day retreat, Friday evening, and then you house yourself, and then you come back and you spend all day Saturday with me. I feed you, I give you little sussies, and you get little treats to go back with, and you get to play with every supply in my studio. And I really do a very in-depth breakdown of how we use all of the supplies. It is considered a retreat because we'll also do some journaling, and we'll talk about creativity in your life. So that is a way that you can come be a part of seeing what I do here in my studio and really working on who you are as a creative. Also in the summers, I take a group to France. So I'll be going to my 2nd year to France with a group of women this year. It could be women or men. And that's full for the summer, but I will start launching for next year and start thinking about what we're going to be doing next year. I'd like to add more retreats. I'd also like to potentially travel to you. If you can put a group together and you'd like to have me come and speak and lead you in using supplies and breaking down all of those things and using my teaching skills, I would love to do that as well. So that's things that are coming from me, and I'd love to hear things that are on the horizon for you as well. So I'll see you soon. Go be great.